Maybe we should study the answers ahead of time.
Well, I was thinking of that. She was born on March 5th, 1960. Yeah. Was a leap year. She always said, how come you didn't have me on February 29? I said, because you decided to come on March 5.
My mom was a choral director. She taught grades actually K through 12. I'm from a small town, Mount Morris, and my dad was the instrumental teacher there, and he taught band grades 5 through 12. And so I guess if you were in music, you had my parents as the teachers.
How's that?
Our whole family was visiting some people who owned a boat, and we needed some help getting on the boat, and so I couldn't make the big step onto the boat, so the gentleman who owned the boat kind of picked me up and put me on, and I gave him this nice smile, and he said, "Perfect clarinet embouchure." And so my dad, that's all my dad needed. He grabbed a little E-flat clarinet and started me on clarinet lessons when I was in 3rd grade.
Well, she always wanted to be the best, I know you that, and she worked hard on that, and piano. She was really dedicated to the piano also.
When she went off to college, we talked about her career, and she didn't seem to be interested in music.
I went to Illinois State University because it was a school that offered field hockey. I went off to college because I wanted to play field hockey. And so I went off to school and got a field hockey scholarship, and thought I'll probably be a music minor.
When Sarah went to college, she did not intend to be a music teacher because she saw how hard a work it was. But then I think, you know, when music draws you, you just can't fight it. And I think finally it just, she finally gave in and said, okay, music is my calling.
It was in the middle of her sophomore year when she came home and said, I didn't think you'd ever hear me say this, but the music classes are the ones I like the best. I think I'd like to go into music.
When I left ISU, I was able to get a certificate in both vocal and instrumental music. I loved both those kinds of music, and I wasn't sure what am I going to do? Am I going to teach instrumental music or am I going to teach vocal music? And I thought, well, whatever job comes along, that's what I'll do. The job that opened up for me was here at Ottawa Elementary Schools, and I became the director of bands at the Ottawa Elementary School. Once I got involved in band, I know this is what I was supposed to do. I love all the different colors that you can have and all the different instruments that make up the sound of the ensemble. And so I really felt God was leading me down that path of being a band director. I taught at the elementary schools for 5.5 years, and I loved it. I loved teaching the little kids and the junior high kids. And I thought, you know, but I'd really like the challenge of working with high school musicians. And so I decided I wanted to go back and get my master's. I was looking at many different schools, and I attended this conference called the International Midwest Band and Orchestra Clinic. And John Painter, the director of bands at Northwestern, is the president of that group at the time. And I was always very impressed with him and how he related to the people at the conference. And so I applied at Northwestern because I wanted to work specifically with John Painter. Well, with Ottawa being 2 different districts, when I left the elementary schools, I took a leave of absence. And a good friend of mine who was teaching at Seneca went to Iowa to get her master's, and when she finished, she was looking for maybe a little bit bigger, different program, and I said, Donna, I think Ottawa would be a good fit for you. So she got my position, and then the high school job opened up, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I applied for the high school position and got the high school job. I started teaching in the fall of 1989. When I first came to Ottawa High School, as I mentioned, the program was down to about 40 kids. And I asked the administration right there, one of the best ways for me to start building the program up is if I can get some small group lessons with the kids during the school day. And right away, the administration that I had at the time, Tom Murphy, he said, let's do it. And so I created a rotating band lesson schedule, and I've been able to keep that for the past 27 years.
I remember being pushed hard by Sarah. I think that even though we were a small group, she recognized our gifts and our talents and really pushed at the level that we could be pushed at. So as a young musician, she, I think, recognized some strength in me and pushed hard. Sarah came to me in between junior and senior year and asked if I would be the drum major during my senior year. And I remember very distinctly the conversation because she made sure that I was going to give it 100% and that things like a boyfriend wouldn't distract, and that came up in conversation.
Ms. Reckmeyer was a tremendous teacher, and one thing that I'm extremely thankful for is she really taught us the fundamentals. So we knew our rhythm, we knew our scales.
Remember, release right on those eighth notes, like in 109, pop right off there, but then the half note carry through to the downbeat.
Ms. Reckmeyer and Ms. Martin both would always show up to a lot of my recitals or concerts that I was giving. I would look for them in the audience, and it was always just such a delight to be able to see them there and to see them supporting me.
I think the way that Ms. Reckmeyer inspired me in my own teaching is by giving me an example. She leads by example, and seeing how, she's very businesslike on the podium, but also much more relaxed off the podium. That was something that I saw that was really effective and that I wanted to emulate in my own teaching.
Great rehearsal tonight, you guys. Thank you very much.
Seeing the way that she did that and commanded that respect, but also having that caring personality was really influential in my own music education growing up, and something that I always kind of take with me, both when I started teaching and also now in my current position at Monmouth College.
It's kind of funny, he went off to college and then he decided to do his master's at Iowa, University of Iowa. And of course, Iowa and Northwestern are both in the Big Ten. And so one of his jobs as a graduate student was to help with the marching band.
I'm glad that she brought that up, yeah. So while I was at Iowa doing my master's, she would always come out for the Iowa Northwestern games, and both years I was there were home games at Iowa, and so she came out, and both years we were doing, the team was winning and had a great season. She came and we always lost.
Northwestern was playing Iowa, and Northwestern was probably the underdog, but they ended up winning that game that day. And then the following year we went out again for another game, out at Iowa again, and Northwestern beat Iowa again, and Matt said, you can never come to any more football games out here again.
After the second year, I'm just like, you're banned from coming to any Iowa Northwestern games. You're bad luck for Iowa. So, but it was, at the same time, it was great that she would come and support what I was doing there. So it was a good time.
To win the IHSA state competition, it's two parts. It's a solo and ensemble aspect, and then also an organizational contest. I came here to Ottawa High School in 1989, and we participated in the contest from 89 until 97. And every year we did very well, but we just could never quite get over the top to get that first place. And in 1997, when we finally got the state championship, it was a thrill. The kids were thrilled.
We were so excited to find out that we were champions for the first time, and I was just so proud to be part of that first class my junior year. But I mean, again, it just went with so much work. I was involved in a lot of the ensembles that went to the Solo and Ensemble Festival, and Ms. Reckmeyer made sure all of us were extremely rehearsed. And if you think about all of those individual groups and the amount of time it takes to make sure that we're all playing at our highest level, it just speaks volumes about the time and dedication that she gave to all of us.
On the way up, the sign had been posted at Ottawa High School, the green signs that we have outside the city. And we got all the kids off the bus and they all stood around the sign and took our picture by the sign. And it was just a thrill. It was just something we had been working for, and we finally hit the top.
The signs that are on the highway coming into town are certainly a source of pride.
This year being our 20th consecutive state championship for our music department, 21st overall. Ms. Reckmeyer, having been here just over 27 years, she's won the state championship in 20 of her years here. We take a great deal of pride in the fact that we have what we think is the best music program in the state of Illinois. And it certainly is a sense of pride, not only for our current students, but our former students. And it's something that we look on from a community perspective where people think, you look at Ottawa Township High School, it's synonymous with excellence in music.
After one state championship, the state championship that's been, I don't know, it has to be at least 20 years in the making to win it 20 years in a row. So, with congratulations absolutely hugely to the 2016 Class A IHSA State Music Champions, led by Mr. Spencer Rockford and Miss Sarah Reckmeyer, who will have walk out the huge trophy for the 20th year in a row for state champion music. They scored the highest point total amongst all schools at the 2016 solo and ensemble contest, racking up 744 points. This is the 20th consecutive state title and 21st overall. The OHS Music Department holds, and this one was kind of crazy to me. The OHS Music Department holds the top 11 scores in the history of the competition. This year's total is one of those top scores. And I know Ms. Reckmeyer does not want to speak, but I will make her at least introduce the band president so that person can speak. Congratulations, Sarah, on an amazing, amazing run, and congratulations on impending retirement. Congratulations for all your help and work and time and effort and all these people you have influenced and those in the past. Now you can just simply introduce somebody.
It's never a given, that's for sure. You always have to work really hard and prepare the kids the best that you can. But when we go to contests, we don't really think so much about, okay, we got to win this championship. It's like you've worked really hard, you've prepared really well. Let's make sure you're going to play the best that you can. You can't control how the judge is going to judge you, but you can control how well you prepare and how you present yourself to the judge. Chromatic, starting on concert B flat, quarter notes, ready, here we go.
I don't think people realize, even when she's at home, how much time she's putting in. I know when she's arrived at home because I hear her walk in the door and she's got her phone going and she's listening to lesson recordings. Another thing she spent a lot of time doing, and I don't think the students realized how long this takes, is she would write hundreds of recommendations for students. Students would come to her and say, hey, Miss Reck, I'm going to apply for this, or I'm going to apply for this scholarship, or for this job, or for this college. Could you write me a recommendation? Sure, when's it due? Tomorrow, or 2 days from now. Oh, and I have a form, I'll give it to you. And so she would many late nights spent writing recommendations for students. And so just another example of how she put in the time for the kids.
Watching her as a student, I saw someone who absolutely just loved music and loved students. Now that I'm a colleague of hers, I see even more directly just how much work she puts in, how hard she works, and just how good and fair and talented she is as a teacher.
As a conductor, there's two skills I think that she has that sets her apart. First of all, she spends hours, and I mean hours, choosing the correct literature for the group that's going to perform it. The other thing that she does is she spends a lot of time in score study so that when it's time for the rehearsal, she knows exactly what she wants from the music and she can spend the time in rehearsal instead of flipping through the score and what do we need to do. She can attack the problems and go after it. So she has a very clear idea of what she wants from the music when she goes into rehearsal, so she's very efficient in her rehearsal.
When I'm on the podium, I'm pretty demanding. I want them to get it right. I want them to make music. We don't mess around. I get right to work, and they're very responsive. What I do is out of love, but it's also tough love. I want them to sound great, so I push them. I push them as hard as I can. Stay focused for this long piece. You got to really work at it. My dad, who's 93, won't hear you. All right, try it again.
I heard one story.
My version of the cell phone story. Well, cell phones had just kind of come out, and they were very expensive. And our school policy at the time was cell phones were off and in their lockers.
She heard a cell phone go off, and she stormed up to the kid.
It was over in the flute section. And I'm in the middle of talking about something, and here the cell phone goes off, and I'm looking at and I'm like, give me that cell phone. And the kid kind of gave it to me, and I'm standing, I don't know, I like to think it was 30 feet away. And so I took the cell phone and I just chucked it right in the wastebasket. And lucky for me, it went right in the bucket. And the whole band was quiet, as you can imagine.
His most famous trombone feature, Lass's trombone,
Miss Reckmeyer, I think your cell phone is going off during a concert. This is not respectful to your students, to the band.
You know, it's interesting. I never had a problem with cell phones the rest of the year. And then that reputation precedes you, so then the kids know, don't mess with cell phones in Miss Reckmeyer's class. So.
It's meant the world to us, all the time and effort that she's put into making us better as people and as musicians. She has had a huge impact on all of us here. She's really inspired me to keep going in music.
I actually want to go into music education. I don't know, I just saw her passion for directing and for music, and it kind of influenced me, like, wow, I want like that kind of passion too.
It's so hard to know how to really explain in words the impact that Miss Reckmeyer has had on me, and I know that she's had on a lot of other students, and just that love and passion for music that she has given us, and also the care that she has given us as individuals. As everyone knows, high school is such a vulnerable time.
Play it with the most feeling. This is what music's all about, is playing a piece like this beautifully. And you have it in you to just knock the socks off this piece.
For her to really give us that mentorship and that just the mentorship, and also the relationship and that care that she just gave to each one of us.
For the final concert, I have personally guaranteed her that the concert will go on, during the concert time, will go on without interruption. But obviously there's many people that want to honor her in many different ways. So when the concert's over, there will be several individuals that will speak to honor her.
I've thought about what I would say that night, and I haven't come to a real conclusion yet. I want to make sure that she understands how she shaped me, not only as an educator, but as a person. And I want to do it well. So I'm still searching for those words, to be honest. But I want her to know how many students, not only she has affected, but then those of us who are now teaching, how that branches out even further by the students that we now teach.
Oh boy, that's going to be so hard for me because I've grown so attached to Miss Reck. She's like an inspiration to me. She's always asked us to push harder or for us to take, music seriously, but at the same time, she has so much patience for us. And for me to see her at her last concert, and for me graduating, it's pretty much we're graduating together. It's gonna be very hard for me,
What she's not only done for the program, but also the city, kind of really put the town on the map for what music education, the power of music education, and why it's so important in the schools, and to show that how, by working hard and having the community come together, what is possible and what is able to be sustained.
They'd like to share with us, right? Me, not so much. I don't know what you're talking about.
In band, there's a lot of students, and Miss Reck makes everybody feel like they're really important. I'm going to start crying, so bear with me here, okay? No matter who you are, and no matter what instrument you play, Miss Reck always makes you feel like you're important to the band and to the music program.
You've been one of my biggest inspirations in my life to pursue more in music, that it's much more than just playing. It's another way to express yourself. And you've taught me so much, and there's not so many things in the world to, all the things you've done for me, there's nothing that can make up for it. So I appreciate everything you've done and all your efforts towards this band and this department, that you've left your mark and that you've really made a difference in the hearts of many students. So thank you so much.
I am proud to have you as a colleague and a friend. She could have taught anywhere, but she chose to teach here. And I feel I can safely speak for all those in attendance tonight, and for those who wanted to be but couldn't. We are forever grateful.
You've impacted me. You are one of the main reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing today. You've pushed me as a student, as a colleague, in so many ways you will never even know. You prepare us to be the best musicians we can be, but really what you've done more than anything else is influence us as people, and I don't think there's anyone who's ever come into contact with you that can't say that they're better off because of it. So, can our special guests please enter the auditorium? Would you like to conduct one more time, Miss Reckmeyer? Okay.
How's that?
Perfect.